It's no secret that Printify is my main production partner when it comes to fulfilling print-on-demand orders for my Etsy shop. But I am also always on the lookout for other either new or different print-on-demand platform sites that have an Etsy integration that either offer different products that Printify doesn't offer or that offer really competitive pricing, especially for new sellers. And one platform that I have never talked about on the POD Insights channel is Teelaunch. So we're going to take a look at Teelaunch. This is actually the first of 2 videos about Teelaunch. In this video, we're going to take a look at their catalog, their website, the design of it, the kind of the creation process. We'll take a look at some pricing, and we will talk about the t-shirt print quality. I have 2 t-shirt samples here. We'll take a look at the print quality. And then in the second video, we'll take a look at some additional product samples that I got from Teelaunch because they have some unique products that you cannot get from other print-on-demand sellers. So let's get started with a quick overview on Teelaunch. We'll take a look at their site and the navigation of it, and then we'll come back here and talk about the t-shirt quality for the samples I got. All right, so let's take a look at Teelaunch's website. We'll talk about a couple of settings in your account, then we'll take a look at the catalog, and I'm gonna show you one listing creation feature that Teelaunch has that I have not seen anyone else do, including the big 3 major print-on-demand platforms, Printify, Printful, and Gelato, that can help you publish listings if you like to sell multiple products within one listing. First of all, what integrations does Teelaunch have? Under their Get Started menu here, you can see they've got information here for Etsy, Shopify, OrderDesk, WooCommerce, and BigCommerce. They do have either apps available on those platforms or the direct integration with Etsy. So it is pretty simple connecting your account to Etsy. It works basically exactly the same way as with Printify, Printful, Gelato, all the others. When it comes to your account settings, you of course need to give them your account information, and there's also a section for return label details and packing slip details. Now, on orders where it's available, they will include a customized packing slip for free, which includes a logo, an email address, and a special message. When it comes to the return address label information, you do have to put something in here. So if you don't have an address that you use for your business, like a PO box or something like that, that's not your personal home address, then you can actually use Teelaunch's standard. You do have to manually put it in here, but you can actually just come to their help information, come to this article here, what information will be included on my return address label. It mentions here if you're not wanting to use your own address or you don't have one, then go ahead and use their return address. So they do have an address that you can use if you don't want to use your own personal address in that return address info. When it comes to other account settings, you can set a daily charge limit. So if you have a credit card that you've saved to your account, but you don't want to get charged more than a certain amount per day because maybe it's gonna trigger a problem for your credit card, you can actually turn that on and set a daily maximum limit. And that just means you won't be able to submit additional orders to production until the next day when your limit resets. You also have an option on Teelaunch for premium canvas branding. Now this is just for the premium canvas product. Let's take a look at order approval here. This one's important. You do have options just like you have on other platforms. So you have manual, which means you have to go in and submit all of your orders. 4 different automatic choices. You can approve them automatically 6 hours after the order comes in, 12 hours, 24, or 48. You also have a choice here for what Teelaunch does with non-Teelaunch products. So when you get orders that maybe are, with Printify or Printful or someone else, you can have Teelaunch either ignore those orders completely. You can select it by sales channel, or you can select never here, in which case all of the orders from anybody, no matter where the listing was created, will show up in your orders page, and they will sit there in an on-hold status until they go to production. So I personally leave that on all orders. Now, the shipping rules is something that, without reaching out to Teelaunch directly to ask the question, I'm actually not sure what it does, because there is an option for Etsy and Shopify, or all or never. And when I search for shipping rules, I also don't actually get really any help here. So I'm not entirely sure what that shipping rules feature is for, but hey, drop a comment if you know exactly what that's about. Then they have API settings. If that is something that you use, you have a couple options there, and then you just have options for changing your password or your account email. So that's it. Pretty basic setup when it comes to account setup here on Teelaunch. But it is nice that they have automatic order approval and they let you use their address for the return address label. Now let's just talk about shipping quickly here. I actually did want to mention they do have a list of countries where they ship to. So you want to make sure that your shipping profiles on Etsy align with this. If you sell in lots of countries, you want to make sure you're not offering your listings in countries where they do not ship to. You definitely want to check this particular article out if you sell in multiple countries. Now, once you have created your account, there is a stores tab here, which gives you a display of your stores that you have connected. There is a add new store button here at the top, and that's where you do that simple Etsy integration here. You can simply click on Etsy and it will pop you over to your Etsy account that you're currently signed into, and it will ask you to give permission. Now, under actions here, you have options to edit products. You can disconnect the store. You have this little pop-up for shipping rules, which again, I don't know what that is because there's nothing there. And then you can also click on edit products to come over to your full product list. You have an option to resync products if you ever need to do that for some reason. And you also have a listing indication here of whether something is not Teelaunch or not. So if you want to scroll through your list of products and basically tell Teelaunch like, hey, this is not a Teelaunch product, I want you to ignore it, you can actually tell Teelaunch to ignore a specific product. Now let's talk quickly about products and product creation. And in this video, as I mentioned, we're going to focus on the t-shirts. We'll cover some additional products in the next video. So if we click on product and then create, it's going to take you to the product catalog where you can see some pricing information, but you don't actually see all the details until you start designing a product. They do have quite a selection here. They have stickers, they have accessories, they have tote bags, which we will talk about in the next video. Their apparel selection is pretty good, I would call it. It's not quite as massive as some other print-on-demand platforms like Printify, but they have a fairly good selection of men's and women's and children's sizes. They have baby bodysuits, they have toddler sizes. So they have you pretty well covered when it comes to apparel options. The very first item on here is their super budget $5 Hanes t-shirt, which we will be looking at a sample of in just a moment. But one important thing, if you notice these little plus signs in the corner here of their apparel listings, this gives you the ability to create a combination listing in their workflow and then publish it to Etsy. So we're going to do that just to take a look at the listing upload process. This is something I cannot believe other platforms haven't done yet. So let's add a $5 Hanes t-shirt here. It drops that $5 Hanes men's t-shirt and it gives you this button to create a group listing. So what we need to do is add something else, at least one other product here. So let's scroll until we find a sweatshirt that we want. Okay, here's a Gildan crew neck sweatshirt. This is a Gildan 18,000. It's one of the more affordable sweatshirts out there. You see their pricing is $19 to $24. Let's hit the plus there. Scroll back up and now you can see I've got both the men's t-shirt and the crew neck sweatshirt added here. Let's click on create group listing and then select which shop we want to add it to and click continue. Now, this is the main view of their listing creation workflow. It is fairly simple. At the same time, it is nowhere near as full featured as say Printify or Printful or Gelato. The user interface here is a few steps behind those platforms. It's not bad per se, but you definitely cannot do as much here. This is not like a design creation workflow. You have to have a print file completely ready to go. Now for your pricing here, you've got $19 for a Gildan 18,000 sweatshirt. They're telling you it ships from South Dakota. The production time is 3 to 5 business days. And here are your shipping costs. So US $9.50. Now you do have an option for both front and back printing. Adding a back print will cost $5 if you do both front and back. I'm just going to add a print file to the front here, so we'll do select image. We're going to do that Tiger Circus design that I have on one of my samples, and it will automatically place it here. There is not sort of a custom placement option on Teelaunch. You do have a little bit of an option here that are presets. So for art placement, you can select full print, 3/4 print, which just makes it smaller, half print, left chest, or right chest. So you can make this small, you can place it around different options, but you do not have control to like grab this and move it around with complete granular control. And even if we do full print, the distance from top is the only other control we have. So we can do normal, we can do double or triple, and double or triple just moves it down. So if you want to center it more, depending on the shape of your design, you can do that. I like normal for this one, so I'll leave that. You then have color options here and size options. So just like other platforms, you can select as many of the available colors as you want, and you can view them by just clicking on them to see what they look like. Now, notice what we have up here. You may have missed it as I was scrolling. You have another tab here for the $5 Hanes men's t-shirt. So click on that. You will see the additional products you have grouped together here. That will switch us over to our Hanes t-shirt. If we scroll back up, we'll see the information. So minimum of 4,200 here. Now, my print files are 4,500 by 5,400. That's just the size I like to use for apparel. So I am good to go there. But again, we want to double check that. Pricing on this is $5. The shipping in the US is $6.50, so we're looking at $11.50. US, ships from Kentucky, and 3 to 5 business day shipping time. So this will ship from a different location than the sweatshirt, even though I'm grouping these together in the same listing. So that is important. It means if a customer orders one of each from this same listing, if they order a t-shirt and a sweatshirt, I'm going to pay $6.50 to ship the t-shirt. If we hop back over to the sweatshirt, I'm going to pay $9.50 to ship the sweatshirt. So I need to factor that into my either shipping profile or in my product price if I'm doing free shipping. All right, back to the t-shirt. Let's add that same design to the t-shirt. And again, we have controls over where we want it. I think normal again looks good here. And now I can go down to the bottom and click on next. Now here we have the listing details where we put in the title, we edit all of our prices for our different variants, we put in our product description, and then we also can add our tags. Yes, Teelaunch does let you create your tags right here instead of making you edit or enter them on Etsy. So that's also nice, even though this is kind of a simple workflow that they have going here. They do let you add the tags just like Printful does. So I am going to call this one Tiger Circus Group Listing because I just want to identify it quickly. I'm not going to publish this one in my shop. I just want to do this as an example. On the right, you have options for mockups here, and you have both. Of course, there's a maximum of 10, so you cannot select more than 10. The mockups provided by Teelaunch for apparel are pretty basic. They are plain white background mockups, so I would recommend editing your own mockups for apparel. Now, we do need to edit our prices here. We want to take a look at what we have for selling prices for all of these. You can edit them individually. You can use the check boxes to edit a grouping of products together. With a listing that like this, you definitely want to make sure that you edit your t-shirt prices separately from your sweatshirt prices if that's what you have grouped together. I'm not going to change anything here for the sake of time. I am just going to go ahead and publish this. All right, I'm going to go ahead and click on create here, even though I haven't done nearly enough there to edit that, but I just want to get this published so you can see what it looks like on Etsy. You'll get this little kind of buffering symbol while it is being created. And once the image appears here, generally that kind of means it's been published to your store. However, it does go to your drafts folder on Etsy. It does not publish as a live listing. All right, now let's take a look at that listing in our Etsy account. Again, we have to go to the drafts folder in our listings page to see it. But when we go to that listing that just came through, you will see here that we have a huge in-stock number because of all the variants and the price range. I don't think all the images came through yet. Maybe most of them came through, but sometimes you have to wait a few minutes for all your images to come through. But you can see what I was talking about with how generic the mockups are. So I definitely would recommend supplying some of your own mockups or downloading and editing these to add a background. But importantly, let's go to our variant section and see how this came through. This came through exactly how we would normally build a group or combination listing, which I have made videos about several times. What we've got here are two variants. We have style and then we have primary color. So you'll see Gildan crew neck sweatshirt with black and the size, and then we have the next color and size combination. There are 96 variants here because of all of the different sizes and colors we selected. So there are a lot of variants in this listing. But there's one thing here that is not good, and we're looking at it right now. And it is when you do a group listing like this using Teelaunch's workflow, it comes through with their product name from their product catalogs. And they do that in the style variant that they created. And unfortunately, the name of that Hanes t-shirt in their catalog is $5 Hanes men's shirt. It is a unisex shirt, so we actually don't want it to just say men's, but we really don't want it to say $5 in the description here on Etsy. So that means if you use that Hanes $5 shirt in a combo listing, this is going to come through in this field. And so currently, I'm going to give feedback to Teelaunch about this, but currently this is a deal breaker for me for creating a combo listing just with this one product. And unfortunately, Etsy does not let you edit it. So if you come up to your variations menu and click on manage variations, you can change these variations, but you cannot change the name of one that already exists. So if we go into style and we click on edit here are the two options that exist. All I can do is add a new one or delete an existing one. It does not let me change the name of this existing variation. So if what I wanted to do was say Hanes unisex t-shirt, I can add that as a variation and I can delete the one that's here. But if I do that, that is going to screw up everything that's here. As you can see, and when I scroll down, it's going to basically get rid of all of the SKU numbers, now these orders won't sync because the SKU numbers aren't there. So all of that to say, you can use Teelaunch's group listing creation workflow, but I wouldn't use it for products that have a name with something in them in their catalog that you don't want to show up in your Etsy listing. All right, so that is a very brief walkthrough of account settings and listing creation and the group listing creation process on Teelaunch. Let's now take a look at those t-shirt samples that we got and wrap this video up. All right, now let's take a look at the print quality, because after all, if the prices are good and you're happy with everything else, none of that really matters if the print quality is not very good. So I got two samples here of t-shirts. I got one sample of their Hanes $5 t-shirt, and then the second shirt I have here is sort of the standard Bella Canvas 3001 unisex t-shirt. All right, let's start with the $5 Hanes shirt here. So in terms of print quality first, usually with DTG printing, which is what this is, you get that sort of pre-treatment applied, which makes this a thicker, denser feeling print that sits up on top of the fabric instead of soaking into it. And that's definitely what we have here. We have a thick, pretty textured feeling print here. So pretty average DTG in terms of the feel of the print. In terms of the look of the print, I'm quite satisfied with how it came out in terms of quality and the level of detail. I will put up a side-by-side image here of the actual t-shirt as well as the print file itself. Of course, the colors always come out slightly different because we're talking CMYK colors in terms of what you're gonna get on the t-shirt. But I think the level of detail here on this print is pretty nice. I'm pretty well satisfied with the quality of the print on the black t-shirt here. Now let's talk about the t-shirt itself. This, I have to be honest, this feels like a $5 shirt. It feels kind of rough. The cost on this one is only $11.50 with shipping included on Teelaunch. So you can price this pretty darn competitively, and that's what I would suggest doing if you're gonna go with the Hanes $5 t-shirt. It doesn't feel like it's really worth a lot more than low 20s. Now, I will comment on this after washing it, so stick around for that. All right, next up, our Bella Canvas 3001 t-shirt. This is the standard staple. This feels so much softer immediately. Overall feels nicer quality, but you are definitely gonna pay a higher price for this. The pricing is, I believe, $17.50 with shipping included from Teelaunch, so you're definitely not pricing this in the low 20s. You will lose money after the Etsy fees are taken out of it. So you're gonna have to price higher if you're using Teelaunch to sell the Bella Canvas 3001, which is not out of the question depending on your niches. Now, in terms of the print quality on this one, this was a fairly challenging image. I just wanted to see how it would come out. Of course, we don't have that thick pre-treatment. We don't have the extra thick print here. This is more absorbed into the fabric because it is white fabric. So it definitely has a different feel, but that is just how DTG printing is between light and dark fabrics. Again, I'll put the print file image on the screen next to the actual print. There is one little defect in the print here, and that is right above the tiger below the I, or between the I and the G here. There's a little faint blue ink here that looks like, I'm not sure exactly how that got there, but I'll see if that comes out in the wash or not. Otherwise, this was a challenging print file because it's got that distressed look that sometimes DTG has trouble recreating, as well as the really broad range of bold colors. So in general, I'm happy with the way it came out, except for this one little mistake. All right, let's throw these in the wash and see how they come out. All right, these have now been through the wash and the dryer for one cycle. I washed them on the cold cycle. I did not use any liquid fabric softener. I did use a dryer sheet in the dryer. The $5 Hanes shirt, well, it's still pretty stiff. Unfortunately, it doesn't really seem to have softened up. So yeah, it doesn't really feel like a super high quality shirt. Good news on the print though. Print looks pretty much the same after the first wash. So print wise, good to go there, but unfortunately it didn't really soften up. And then for the Bella Canvas t-shirt, it is still just as soft as it was before the wash. That little sort of mistake, that little defect that almost looked like pen ink, that came out. I don't know exactly what that was, but it did come out. I don't see it in that spot at all. So good news on the Bella Canvas shirt. So do I recommend Teelaunch to print-on-demand sellers? Well, I'm not gonna completely answer that question in this video because remember, I'm doing a second video. We're gonna take a look at some more products. I ordered more samples, including a couple of products that you cannot get from other print-on-demand platforms, at least not the major ones. So I'm gonna withhold my final answer on whether I recommend Teelaunch to new print-on-demand sellers for that video. But in general, I will say with the t-shirts, I don't have any major concerns over the print quality on the 2 samples that I got. And also just after reviewing the site, I would say it is definitely a step behind the big platforms that have invested a lot in their UI, in their experience for the user. But at the same time, I didn't have any problems with it. It does work. There was nothing that just made me stop and give up with Teelaunch's upload process, so I wouldn't necessarily rule it out because of that user experience. You really just need to try it out for yourself and see if you like it. So as of this video, no major deal breakers for Teelaunch other than the platform being kind of a step behind the user experience of those big 3 print-on-demand providers. But definitely watch out for the next video. If you're watching this before it's out, subscribe to the channel so you can see when that video comes out. If it is already out, I will put a link to it right over here so you can jump right to that video now and see the other product samples and my final conclusion on Teelaunch. Thanks everybody. See you next time.